at these clinics to kind of pitch at the right level. So maybe just trying to find out what level people are at. Are people mainly working with younger swimmers, age group kids, seniors? So it's mainly the age group stuff. Marty's probably, and you're doing seniors as well. So I think what we want to probably do today, Abbie and I have got something sort of basically scripted.
Yep.
Where we're going to get Tom in to really swim butterfly so we can look at him. We'll just make some comments what we see in butterfly and maybe some things that we look for as coaches when they're swimming normal butterfly. And then I think what we can do is just work through some drills, work through some turns, just work through the stroke. Abbie's had quite an extensive experience doing clinics and camps across the US. She actually came out, and we were talking about it before, in 2018 to interview a few programs around Australia and bumped into us at Griffith University. So I've known Abbie for a little bit. So I'm looking forward to her thoughts on butterfly as well. But just to give you, before Abbie talks, maybe a little bit, that you can maybe cover some other stuff about what I see in butterfly. Like, I think this is genuinely speaking, not generally, genuinely speaking, I've learnt more through coaching and watching my athletes swim than I did when I was swimming. I think when I swam back in the era in the 70s and 80s, we didn't concentrate a lot on technique. It was really just getting in and doing sort of
fits, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's all we try.
And doing 5-6 miles a session back in that was a lot of volume and not a lot on stroke technique. So I think as I've had good swimmers in the program, I've learned a lot on all the strokes. We've been fortunate enough to have some very good butterflies in our program, and my take on butterfly is you're a sinker or you're a floater. The floaters, and Maddie Groves, who was Olympic silver medalist in 2016, is one of those. The floaters can swim butterfly till the cows come home. You can give them a lot of butterfly and it's not high cost to them, but the sinkers, when they swim butterfly, Paul Rowe is one of those. I don't know if you remember that name, Marty, from years gone by. Paul Rowe, and I learnt this from Dennis Pursley, who was the coach at the time. For Paul Rowe, when he did a lot of butterfly, he used to do fly free by the 50. So if they were 15 or 16 100s, Dennis would give him 50 free, 50 fly. And he was able to hold his technique together a lot better doing that. I think that's probably one of the keys. If you've got athletes in your program that are floaters, they can handle butterfly. You've got to watch, of course, how much you do with them. But I think it's that progressive overload that we always talk about. You don't get in with a bunch of 10-year-olds and start giving them 40 50s a fly. But you might start with 16 50s where they're going 1 fly, 1 free, 2 fly, 2 free, that sort of thing, 4 times through, whatever adds up to 16. But progressively overloading how much fly they do. But I think as a coach, just as a general comment, understand that there are people who are great flyers. Like I've had people on the Australian team, Grant Irvine's one that was a sinker. And the more butterfly I gave him, the worse he swam. It wasn't until I kind of worked it out that giving him fly free was better for Grant. It didn't mean that he wasn't going to go very well. He ended up going 51-0 for 100 butterfly and 155 for a 200 butterfly, but he couldn't handle doing a lot of butterfly. Whereas Maddie Groves, I used to give her sets of 2100s where she did 1 freestyle, 1 all butterfly. And her technique would not miss a hitch from the moment she pushed off the wall to the moment she came home on the last 25. So I think if you see your swimmer's technique breaking down, that's like a little punch in the face to you as a coach. Give them some freestyle, break up the butterfly. Don't persist in giving. Be flexible enough in your own mindset to be able to change what you're doing if you're seeing the stroke mechanics drop off. So sinkers and floaters is that basic message. What I look for in fly, I try and break it down into a few different areas. I think, in my opinion, butterfly is a real rhythm and timing stroke. So it's, a lot of it's depending upon the synchronization of the arms, the legs, the body position and the breathing, trying to get that all synced in together. It's a little bit like breaststroke, I feel. When the timing of the stroke goes out, the butterfly ends up being very, very messy. It's like any stroke, I think. The good butterflies make butterfly look easy. The good breaststrokers make breaststroke look easy, etc. for backstroke and freestyle as well. So trying to get the swimmers efficient is really important. Tom's only been in the program for the last 3 weeks. I'm not going to claim anything that Tommy's done, so he's only really just come into the program. I'm still trying to figure him out. I haven't really spoken much to you about your technique at the moment. I'm just trying to watch, and then I'll make some comments after I see him swimming for 4 or 5 weeks. Tommy's a good flyer, 52 for 100, 53, I beg your pardon, 53 for 100 butterfly. I just gave him a second there. 53 for 100 butterfly, and he also swims for some pretty good freestyle. But going back to the stroke, I get distracted very easily. Going back to the stroke, the timing I think in fly is the kick in the arms, as I said, together. I like to see the swimmers when they enter the water take a fly kick, which is a bit of a softer kick, and the second kick takes place towards the end of the stroke. There are good butterflies that just do one. I don't know if you saw Lizzie Decker's swim at the World Championships. She takes really one kick with the butterfly stroke, and she still got, she got silver, I think, at the World Championships. So she was still able to swim really fast doing that, but she's a bit of an outlier. Most of the good butterflies you see will take the 2 kicks. So it's one kick as the hands are entering the water, and the second kick, which I think needs to be a little bit of a stronger kick, takes place at the back end of the stroke in butterfly. You want to talk about the timing of the arm stroke, just the pull?
Well, and going off of kind of what he said with training, so there's a big initiative in USA Swimming to try to elevate butterfly, because our 200 flyers, besides like Haley Flickinger, haven't gotten much faster over the last 12 years. It's been the slowest event for us in our progression, and so Bob Bowman obviously had Michael, and one of the things Bob has said to the younger coaches is not swimming ugly fly, and so we've done a lot of 25s or 50s where you do a free fly combo, or you give swimmers, hey, off this wall you're only taking 8 butterfly strokes, however far that takes you, and then you're swimming freestyle the rest of the way. One of Bob's favorite sets to use with Michael was putting a resistance cord in the middle of the pool, so it forced the dolphin kicks to at least halfway. He had to kick underwater halfway, and then he would do a certain amount of strokes, and he would either increase the distance or he would increase the amount of strokes that he was taking for an individual 50 or 25, whatever the set was, to do the progressive overload like Michael was talking about. So there is a big initiative to not swim an ugly fly running around the US, because once fly breaks down, it cannot be very pretty, and it's also really hard for the swimmers to continue to progress through the pool. So we totally say, you know, soft first kick, big second kick, and we say the timing of the second kick should be right around where the hands are like underneath the belly button, so they're the closest under the body, and before they descend back outwards to get that final push. On all the underwater filming and stuff that I've done, what I've really noticed is the best swimmers have a much larger first kick in reality and a smaller amplitude of a second kick, but you try to get them to think about it the opposite way. So you push with the second one along with the finish of the stroke, and you get a really nice kind of flow, so your arms can come around more gently to enter up top. So the timing is super important. I'd say it's like bookshelves, like or if you read sheet music, it's kind of like you've got beats and you've got rest notes. When I talk to my younger ones, I think it's more like you kick, and then you have a pause, and the pause is during the recovery. So you've got 2 sandwich kicks together that are like 2 bookshelves side by side, and then you got a rest note. And so I always say kick, recover, kick, recover with my kids, and kind of keep a cadence and have them say that to themselves as they're swimming. And it's helpful with getting maybe some timing errors corrected.
I think it's a great point you made at the end. Like, I think a lot of people don't talk about the recovery and fly, but that second kick, I think the reason it's got to be strong is to facilitate and carry the rhythm of the stroke through. Other strokes, freestyle, obviously, when the right arm's recovering, the left arm is anchoring and it's moving the body through the water. But in butterfly, because your limbs are both out of the water, both of your arms are out of the water, you haven't got a strong second kick and a strong core, you'll find the swimmers will sink. So I think not enough attention is really paid to what you're saying there, so it's a great point. Just in terms of the butterfly pull, I like to see the hands entering in line with the shoulders. I think it's a bit of a waste of time in my mind having the hands enter too close together. These are very strong muscles, the lat muscles, and the lats can't be engaged early if the hands are too close together. So I like to see the hands around about shoulder width. We don't want them too wide, because you're compromising distance per stroke by entering too wide. You want them in line with the shoulders, but not in front of the head. You know, back in the old days,
long arms.
Long arms, really emphasising good distance per stroke. I think butterflies changed quite a bit. Like Michael Phelps in my mind, we were just talking about him before, has really changed butterfly. Mark Spitz was the world record holder and the fastest swimmer in the world through the 70s, and you watch his butterfly, it's quite up and down. When he breathes, there was a big gap between his chin and the surface of the water. But now when you see Michael Phelps swim fly, when you see Leon Michard swim, like Leon, almost his chin's dribbling along the surface of the water. It's really about economy of effort, because fly is such a high cost stroke. I think the flatter that you can be in the water, the better.
Up to the water.
Yeah, like if you're coming up too high, you know, you're really using a lot of energy, and your hips will drop down as well. So high head will mean lower hips. So what we're trying to do with our butterflies is try and keep the most horizontal position we can. Mark Spitz, if you watch old footage of him, very up and down when he swam butterfly. Michael Phelps went way past him in terms of time, flattened it out. What's that Hungarian boy's name? Malat. Once again, very, very flat when they swim fly. So I think we try and gain an idea of what great technique is from looking at the great swimmers swim. And one of my recommendations to you guys is to get home on the weekends, on Sunday or whatever, and spend half an hour on YouTube. You can type in a great swimmer's name that swims butterfly, back, breast or free, and just watch how they move through the water. You know, to me, it's how I learn as a coach, and I'm sure you guys would do the same thing. So,
yeah, some of the for the lower flies, so in the US we put it into 3 different groups, and so when you're younger and you're really trying to teach the kids the undulation and how to wiggle the hips, we actually purposely have them come up and breathe high but look forward as they're breathing, because it will get them to climb the mountain. Then they've got to learn how to come down the mountain, and then we progress that through. Instead of when they're breathing and they're, you know, part of their chest is showing and looking forward, they put their head facing a little bit more towards the water surface, so it gets them a little bit lower as far as how much they're ascending. And then finally we call it chin surfing. Like when you breathe, your chin should be surfing on the top of the water. But that's kind of how, like with the age group programs, you start high, you go middle, and then you try to hit low. But not everyone from a younger perspective does really well with that low butterfly stroke unless they've got a really good kick. So you kind of like progress with the kick too and build up the legs, and so you can keep the timing and everything together as you get the stroke to be flatter.
So with the head up, that'll make their back and shoulders and everything stronger?
Yes.
As it would when you hold a good board?
Yeah,
Is that the idea?
If you undulate more, you can actually get your lats and everything in a better position to really pull water. So for younger ones, it's a little bit easier to get a more powerful butterfly stroke. But as you get older and want to get more flexibility, you've got much more training and foundation underneath you. You can stay lower and still get that nice push. So yeah, one of the things we do with the recovery is we think about keeping the thumbs really low. So we kind of do like thumb drag fly with some of the younger ones. That starts taking them down the mountain. So they start saying from being really high to the medium to the low.
what about the arm pull? What do you think there, Abbie? Like happening? Obviously back in the old days it's quite wide.
Yeah, so we say like right outside the shoulders with like thumbs slightly in, this was a big debate for a while whether it should be, you know, palms down, but people are more okay with the slicing, and then creating an X pattern is kind of how we describe it. You pull under your body right at your belly button, and then you extend out here, trying to accelerate as you're going through the pull. So as you're pushing your body physically forward, you want to finish with a nice little tricep extension. So it's a little bit more narrow at the top and then wider at the bottom.
What about we get Tommy in, eh? He's been sitting here patiently.
Yeah.
Get you moving.
I wonder if you learned anything.
His whole stroke's going to change now.
Out the window.
He has trained this morning. He swum this morning, done gym. So we'll get you doing, let's go 350s where you go freestyle up butterfly back. 350.
Do you start kids with shorter fins or longer fins?
We do longer fins first, and then we progress to more of the medium-sized ones.
Yep.
But at a younger age, we'll use a stiffer fin.
Stiffer one, all right.
So like the youngs will use the long, flimsy ones.
Yep.
And then as they're kind of getting into the like 10, 12 area, we'll do shorter and make it a little bit stiffer, so they're working on their ankle flexibility and the kick strength. And then we'll give them like a little bit easier, shorter one as they're doing more volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers, thanks.
Can I get this video?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
I will send to you.
Okay, yeah. I'll give you my contact.
Sure.
Passing the headline of the stroke is seeing their hands relatively close together. You don't want a big gap between the hands underneath. I was lucky enough to be on an event camp many years ago, and we did a lot of filming of the good swimmers, and Susie O'Neill was one. when she swam butterfly, her hands were that close together, they were actually overlapping a little bit. You don't want them overlapping, but they were coming in that close, they were actually overlapping. I think when you look at all the good butterflies, you'll see when they work their way through the stroke, their hands are very close together through that midline of the stroke. You don't want a big gap between the hands. Same thing again?
Well, not here.
So I try and break the butterfly stroke up into two parts. There's recovery that Abbie spoke about. And the word I try and use on recovery is relaxation. I think it's very important to be relaxed. You don't want tension through the arms through recovery. You want to relax recovery. And the word I think about underneath the water is pressure. What they're looking for, swimmers when they swim in my mind are like good sailors out in the ocean. And good sailors know how to adjust the sails for the boat to go really far to catch the most amount of wind. The good swimmers are able to find a path where they're holding the maximum amount of water to move them through. So your limbs are a means to move through the water really well. We're always trying to angle water in a stroke like butterfly back towards our feet. One of the common faults you see when butterflies get very tired is they'll enter the water, and the easy way for them to get from the catch position to the end of the stroke is by leading with the elbows and slipping through the water. So it's one of the things we're very mindful of, and I think this is one of the things I saw on Tom. He's been there for 3 weeks. On some of the fly sets when he got very tired, I could see his stroke count go up. So compared to a lot of the other guys we've got in our squad, Tom is only a shorter guy, but his stroke count is up a little bit higher than I'd like. And we need to get that now. I've already mentioned that to you a couple of times. Trying to get him under that 20 strokes. He's kind of stuck at 20 strokes. I'd like to see him a little bit lower than that. But the easy way, I think this is the message, the easy way, and this is the thing you've got to watch, if you're giving your kids sessions of flying, you see that stroke deteriorating and their elbows leading and not holding any water, is to go off butterfly, swim a little bit of freestyle, like Abbie was saying before, and then come back on the butterfly, because you don't want to practice poor technique when they fatigue. If the body does in a race what it does in training, if you're doing it and kind of allowing fly with sloppy technique in training, the same thing will happen. The last 20 metres of 100, the last 50 metres of the 200, poor technique in training will be poor technique when they compete. One more, is it?
Do you get the swimmers to use paddles for fly?
We use little finger paddles. I don't use a lot of paddles, to be honest with you, for butterfly. I'm very cautious with paddles. I think there are paddles and there are paddles. I don't like kind of big stiff paddles. I like paddles with holes in them.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the stroke maker paddles.
Yeah.
I think the stroke makers are good because they're a very thin paddle. They've got give in them. You don't want paddles that are like this, really stiff, because it puts too much pressure on the shoulders.
Yep.
I think having the little holes will allow water to go through. Some of our butterflies, on the odd occasion, will use little finger paddles, you know, those small little boomerang shaped ones. I think that's a great way for teaching feel for the water. I think the paddles are a good thing to use, but it's like any aid. If you use a pull buoy too much, it's not good.
Yep.
If you use a kickboard too much, it's not good. Like, I think aids are good to use, but you can overuse them. So I guess the question is, I rarely use paddles for butterfly. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but if we do use them, it'll be the small ones, definitely not the big ones.
Okay.
We don't use a ton of paddles for fly, especially for the younger ones, just because the stroke itself is already so upper body driven.
Yep.
So for the girls, you put paddles on there, they're gonna have to push more and work harder to apply more force, and that's a lot of stress on the body already.
You've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Fins. I like fins. I think once again you can overuse them. You've got to sort of manage shoulders these days. And kids, back when Marnie and I were swimming back in the old days, there weren't that many shoulder problems. Now it just seems to be a lot of shoulder problems. So I think you've got to be really careful. I think the fins, in my mind, when the kids are warming up, it's a good way for them to activate their shoulders and get them ready. We do activation stuff on the land before they get in. But putting the fins on just takes the load off the shoulders a little bit during the warm-up. We tend to use the snorkel a bit more now because I think they're doing freestyle. Every time they take a breath, it's more pressure on the shoulder when they breathe, more load. So by putting the snorkel on, it's less loadsome on the shoulders. So I think using them from time to time, I think the fins, in my mind, when you're doing drill work for the young kids, are good, because if you're trying to concentrate on something with the arms, the fins gives them propulsion, so they can actually think about their arms. you
Also
agree
with
with
the fly,
Yeah.
like using the fins, if you're targeting high hips, really gives that assistance
Yeah.
in drills.
Just
and-
gives it the flotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you use them all the time, it's not good. You can overuse them definitely.
Yeah. But fins for some of the younger kids, depending on the type of fin you use, can help, increase flexibility and the kick strength. But it's, not the flimsy long fins that do so much for them that they can actually kick smaller amplitudes and work less. So it depends on the age, really, and then the type of fin that you're using, and then what the goal is with the fin. But we use a lot of fins with our younger kids to be able to get more fly out of them, versus not being able to do as much,
So far, is any injuries by using too much of fins? Like the ankle injuries? Any injuries? No injuries?
No injuries? No, yeah, not really. Every once in a while you get a super hypermobile kid where a fin can actually be a deterrent and not a good thing for him, but for her. But yeah, for the most part, I haven't seen very many issues with fins.
Want to go with some drills?
Sure. All right.
What do you think? Some drills? We all know butterfly drills. They're always good to... We don't? Don't know anything. Okay. Let's stick your fins on, please. So like I said, I think you've got to look at what the swimmer is doing incorrectly and come up with a drill that's going to help fix that up. Like I think the most common fault I've seen, I've done a lot of... I just come back from 3 weeks in China actually working with Stefan Wittmar's younger kids, and a lot of the problems you see in fly. So it was good for me to go back to age group swimming. I started with age group, and then the last 10 years have been more about high performance for me, but it's lovely to come back and watching the young kids swim, and it makes you think more as a coach about remedies. You think, how am I going to fix that? How am I going to fix that? The biggest fault I saw with the Chinese kids, no one's filming this, oh, you are.
I am.
Shouldn't have said that. One of the biggest faults I saw,
Put a pause on it.
one of the biggest faults I saw, and this is very common with young kids, is they'll breathe at the right time, their head will come up, and their head will stay up, and their head and arms come back at the same time. And you think of that action-reaction drill, high head is low hips. And if your head, which is heavy, is up for a long period of time, your hips are dragging through the water. So I like to see with the timing of the breath, them breathing towards the end of the stroke. I like to see their head come back before the hands enter. And that's going to give you a better chance of maintaining a horizontal line in the water. A high head is bad, and a head that's high that stays up for too long is bad. So doing the timing stuff like we're about to do is good. We're just going to go single arm drill. You know how to do single arm drill? We haven't done a lot of drills with Tommy yet. I like to see, well, I'm starting with younger swimmers, and we'll assume he's 8 years old. When we do single arm drill, I like with younger kids to have the arm that's not being used out in front so they can balance. Because what I'm trying to do on the single arm drill is teach them the timing of the kicks. Kick on entry, kick towards the end at the exit. And when they're doing it one arm at a time, it gives them a better sense of where they are on the stroke, rather than trying to put the whole stroke together at once. So I know we're going back to just after, but I think it's good for you guys to know and see this. With our top butterflies, I still use the single arm drill with them. In fact, Emma McKeon, when she warms up, goes single arm, but the progression from the arm out the front, I think it's better having the arm by the side. It really teaches them to hold and to feel water better. But when they're learning as a young 8-year-old, let's go left arm up, right arm back. The arm you're not using, we're going to hold that in front. Breathing to the side or forward? I think the side's probably a bit easy. It's a bit awkward breathing forward when your arm's out in front. When the arm's by the side, I'd probably rather than breathe with the face forward. But when the arm's in front, it's just a bit easier breathing on the side. So let's go left arm using up, right arm using back. The arm that's not out front to start with, the arm you're not using, sorry, is out in front to start with. Way you go. I'm getting myself confused. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Yeah, it's just a balancer. I see it as a balancer, and they're able to think about just one arm at a time. Just simplify it. We've got to simplify things for kids. So I think some of us try and make things too complicated. I think the more simple, if you can converse and speak to the athletes, treat them like they're 5 years of age. Sometimes it's better. I know I can get carried away sometimes and come up with all these amazing drills, and the kids just look at me like you're speaking a different language. But I think it's the simple things to me are always the best. Let's go the same drill with the arm by the side that you're not using. This time, let's get you to breathe out in front towards the end of your stroke. Left arm up, right arm back. So once again, to me, this is, I don't know what you think, this is timing.
Yeah.
Getting the timing of the sequence of the kicking. I think this is also good. It's like a dual one. You look at the head and when it's returning. As I was saying before, I like to see the head returning before the hand enters. Freestyle, I like to see the head returning before the hand enters. Lani, Janelle's daughter, with the work of her, she's starting to get a little bit slow in that return on the freestyle. So I think the good kids need to be looking at this as well. But it's a very simple drill. What I like to do with the drills, these are just my opinions. Abbie mightn't agree with it, which is fine. We're all different. I like to keep the drills short distance. So we don't do 400 metres of drill. We do 25s. I normally go drill swim. So what I'm trying to do by drill swim is I'm trying to take the drill and look at what the problem is, isolate it, and then go straight into the swimming. So the problem you're trying to fix, swim it, see if it makes any difference. So you might go 16, 25. You've seen us do a lot of drill swim, where we go 25 drill, 25 swim. Sometimes with these older athletes, you probably noticed in 3 weeks, I won't tell them specifically what drill to do. Other times I will. All right, so as they get older, they work with sports science people, biomechanics experts, and those biomechanics people get them to do particular drills in conjunction with me, and they're the drills they do for the most part. Then sometimes I'll say, I'd like you to do this drill today. But with the younger ones, I think you've got to be specific. As they get more towards Michael Phelps and these older kids, they know what drills work well for them. So we've gone the single arm drill, we've done that one. Okay, let's go on to the combo. We're going to go 100 metres. This is going to bug you up a little bit. 100 metres. We're going to go single arm. We're going to go 1, 1, 1. 1 stroke left, 1 stroke right, 1 full stroke. The second 25, 2, 2, 2. The third 25, 3, 3, 3. And then the fourth 25 is going to be whole stroke butterfly, not 4, 4, 4. 1, 1, 1. Stop. Have a rest. 5 seconds. 2, 2, 2. We're working on the timing. Kick on entry, kick on exit. All right? The arm you're not using, let's keep by your side. 1, 1, 1. First 25, second 25. 2 left, 2 right, 2 full. 3, 3, 3 on the third, and the 4, 25 whole stroke. What we'll normally get them to do when they're doing this work is on the 4, 25, put together what you're trying to do on the drill.
Yep.
So look at his timing on that 4, 25. When he's breathing, when he's facing in the water. Yeah, I just like to see a long neck. So a long neck, you want them looking forward. You want their eyes slightly forward, but their eyes should be down and the neck should be long. So not trying to have any wrinkles in the neck is what we say. Wrinkle-free neck. Yeah, there's probably half a dozen that we do. Time to time. Like I think, what I think you've got to understand, just wait there for a minute, Bobby. I've been lucky enough to go to 5 Olympics, 10 World Championships, and what you see at the World Championships and Olympics, you see common things, but you see different things as well. Lizzie Deckers, 1 kick, got second. You don't see anyone else doing that. Michael Phelps, Chad Leclerc, when he sits butterfly, looks every second stroke at the people he's racing against. You see people doing incorrect things, but they're up on the dice, doing really well. So my take on the technical stuff is efficiency. You need to be teaching efficiency. How do you measure efficiency? Who can tell me?
Stroke count.
Very good. You measure efficiency by counting strokes, but the other part of the equation is your stroke count at speed. Because if you get them to stroke count freestyle, they'll sort of catch up to get a low number, which is not what you want. But by putting in PB plus 4, so Emma McKeon's best is 23, she's going to go 27 in the fewest number of strokes. Getting that indice or that index. You know, Emma McKeon, when she's swimming fast in butterfly, she'll still swim 20, sorry. 30 seconds, 20 strokes. We're trying to get her to 30, 19. He's at 20 at the moment. He should be taking less strokes than Emma McKeon. No offence. Don't take offence to it. But we're going to get that number down. That's what we're working on at the moment. How do I talk about that? Yeah, so I think we all try and get perfection and everyone looking like Alexander Popov, but we've got to understand that everyone's got different angles of bones sitting at different levels. They've got tightness through shoulders. They've got not as flexible kick as Zach Stubbley Cook. You're going to see differences. In fact, with breaststroke, Barry over there, 8 swimmers at the Olympics, 8 different techniques. Yeah. We blame Dean Boxer for that. No, I like to see them looking slightly more forward. I think you're getting a better airway as well when they're a little bit forward. But as I said at the start, I haven't played around with his stroke too much. What I've just sent in the message in the 3 weeks he's been there is more about the distance per stroke thing. What I'll do, we've got people with these things that come in and film, and I always think that an eyeful's better than a gobful. So them being able to see what they're doing correctly or incorrectly is a really good aid in making those technique adjustments. So I think that's something that he could certainly work on. Marty was just saying about your breathing. Are you looking down a little bit as you're breathing, as your chin's out of the water, and not looking forward?
But it seems to work for him because his stroke's quite flat.
He's flat.
Yeah.
One of the things we do with the single arm is we actually try to get them more on their side when they're doing single arm, so that way when they flatten out, it's still a butterfly recovery. Versus like a lot of the younger ones, what we see is like the bending of the elbows, which turns into, if we were as flat as him, it's really a freestyle recovery. Versus you're straight as you're doing this, but keeping the arm and fingertips up to the sky is a lot of the cues that we give with the single arm stuff to get them to have a straighter arm and then flatten them out like he is.
Next drill. Just a couple will do, and then you might do a couple. They're all very, very general. I like a few different drills. I always like the Beyondie drill. I didn't realise this. I was only told this a couple of years ago. You've all heard of the Beyondie drill. It was actually invented by North Thornton, I've been told. Abbie, you might correct me on this.
Okay.
But I was told that Matt Beyondie developed bad shoulders, and for him to keep doing butterfly, Nort worked out, I can still get you to work the underwater pull because that's not hurting your shoulder. What's hurting your shoulder is when you recover. So the Beyondie drill, some people call it dolphin drill. What it is, it's hands in front, 4 kicks, 1 arm pull, recover the hands underneath the water. So there's no recovery over the surface of the water. So North Thornton brought the drill in to compensate for Matt Beyondie's bad shoulders, which is interesting. And a lot of coaches use it now, yes.
Yeah, that's so funny because when I started swim coaching in 2000, Carlo was saying the purpose of it was to flick out hard out the back and then recovery. Totally different to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand Beyondie.
Yeah, I sort of like this drill because it's, once again, for young swimmers, it's isolating and taking away the bit of the stroke that's hard. The bit of the stroke that's hard is the recovery and the breathing. So all we're concentrating on is the arm stroke. Fingertips pointing down towards the bottom of the pool, accelerating, like you were saying, accelerating through the back of the stroke, and then recovering underneath the water, taking out that awkward breathing recovery arm stroke. So I think this is a very, very good drill in teaching the patterning of what it should look like. Like I was saying before, things have changed. Mark Spitz, when you look at his butterfly, was very, you know the old keyholes? Some of us older people know what a keyhole is. But the old keyhole used to look like this. We know now through looking at the footage of a lot of the top butterflies, it's really hooking on and it's moving through virtually in a straight line from the front of the stroke to the end of the stroke. There's a little bit of a deviation through the midline of the stroke where the hands come in and then flick out nice and strong through the back end of the stroke. So it's very much changed. Mark Spitz was quite wide, almost like a breaststroke out sweep. It's very much changed to entering and hooking on very, very early in the stroke. So let's go Beyondie drill. We'll go freestyle up. We'll come back Beyondie drill. 4 kicks with the hands out in front. 1 stroke. You can take a breath if you want to bring your head back in at the end of it. Do we use Beyondie drill in our programs? Marty uses it. Good. So what I'm looking for here, once again, probably the thing I look for most in butterfly at this level is to make sure they're in this position in the midline. Like I see so many young kids when I was in China with those age groups pulling through butterfly like this. You don't swim freestyle out here. Like all your power lies within your body, so the further you're getting away from your body, the less power. Butterfly is one of the most powerful strokes and you're losing that power when you work through. So don't be in a hurry to get through drills. I was saying before, 25 minutes in my opinion is the distance that we do. We sometimes do 50, but usually it's 25. They've got to concentrate. You as the coach, like I wasn't doing then, should be watching it and correcting it straight away. You can't go off and have a cup of coffee after they've done 8:25 and come back and make the changes. Try and watch them and make the commentary that you need to make the adjustments to what you're seeing, good or bad, pretty quickly. Go again, please. I'll watch it this time. Oh, listen, it's important to have a bit of a laugh. We're out here for 3 hours. You've got to laugh, eh? Well, it's part of the coaching. You with the kids in your own program, you have fun with them. If you want them in the sport for a long time, you've got to be able to have that good relationship with you, have a bit of a joke. Watching here. So holding water, like a sailor with the sail, holding water and accelerating. What you were saying, gentlemen, whoever you spoke to said, I've seen swimmers do both, where they flick out. I don't know if I like that too much. I mean, I like to see them holding as if they're finish off the back of the stroke and really concentrating on not wasting that back end of the stroke. I thought that was done quite well. Let's go 2 more. You did it so well, we'll watch 1 more. Freestyler. Make him work. Make him work. He's hoping that they're going to do medicine. He's quite a bright guy. But Dad's a doctor. He's moved just in the last few weeks. I like him. He's quiet. Doesn't answer back much. About, I'd say, I'm going to guess he's 19. Nice kid. Very nice. And, you know, he's in there with Cody. It's Cody, him, Bowen, Goff, Emma. It's a group of about 4 good butterflies working together. So when I'm looking at the front, as I said, I like to see their hands nice and close. If they're not there, if you've got access to one of these things, or even a phone, is good. Phone it. What do? Film it with the phone, and get the phone around and get them to look at it. We had someone at the pool this morning. You see him there? Simon. He comes along most mornings, works through 1 or 2 athletes at a time. To me, as I said before, an eyeful, and you can't make the excuse these days with the phones. The phones, it's as good as quality as you'll see. We're lucky, having said that, at our pool at Southport, you know those big jumbo screens? We've got one of those jumbo screens, they hook it up to the video. So yesterday afternoon, was it yesterday or Monday? I think it was Monday afternoon. Was it yesterday? Yesterday afternoon, I'm losing it. Yesterday afternoon we had it all hooked up. They've got a little camera they drop into the pool. And we just move it across from lane to lane. You put it on like a 15-second delay. So the swimmers can come in and watch their last 10 or 15 metres, and it's on a huge, what would you say it is? Probably 3 metres by 3 metres, it's really big. You're able to see very, very clearly what you're doing right and what you're not doing so well. So moving on, the Beyondie drill. The next drill we're going to do is what I call the Michael Phelps drill. I really like this one. You probably have never heard of it.
I'm interested to see where we're going.
I've been told, Michael, but it's just a shame the bulkhead's up. We need a little bit more space. Don't hit your head on the wall to get there. What it is, this drill, it's really, Michael Phelps used to have great breakouts, remember? And I've been told this, I went to a conference once and someone spoke about it. I think it might have been Greg Troy spoke about it.
Okay.
What it is, it's 6 underwater kicks, Tommy, you listening? 6 underwater kicks, 4 strokes breakout, no breathing for the first 3 strokes. You take a breath on the 4th and you go back underneath again and you do it again, but you haven't got the wall to push off. So you're having to get your speed by not pushing off a wall. We can't do it here because of the walls there, because they normally get to about 35 metres. But I really like this drill because a lot of butterflies, when they come up to the surface, they float, come up like a submarine. We want to see speed to the surface on the breakout. So I think this drill really teaches it well because they're not breathing for those first 3 strokes. So it's 6 kicks, 4 strokes, no breathing for the first 3 strokes. Take a breath on the 4th and go under again, but don't hit your head on the wall. Normally he'd go through and repeat it. You all know what I mean? Normally he'd go through and repeat it again. And the objective of Tom is to generate his underwater speed on those 6 kicks without the wall. Right? So you're having to generate the speed through strong core and strong legs. But because there's a wall there, I hope you're clear on this, just go 6, you guys all heard me?
Yep.
6 kicks, 4 breakout strokes, no breathing for 3, take a breath on the 4th. If you can go under, but don't hit your head on the wall. No, don't risk it. Don't risk it.
Can he go without
Australia's
push off?
becoming, sorry?
Could he go without push off?
He probably could. We might try that in the next one. Good point.
So I just spent a week in Alaska with Greg Troy, and one of the things he was talking about is Michael kind of changed butterfly with having so much underwater dolphin kick, and so that's like everywhere now, a lot with the age group programs. But Greg was saying he fought a lot with Elizabeth Beisel versus Ryan on how many dolphin kicks she should do. And so he says that there's underwater accelerators and there's underwater swimmers. And so the way that he would figure out whether someone actually can figure out how to accelerate under the water is to go from a dead start, so no wall. So they start from the middle and they dolphin kick, and they're doing a competition with the rest of the swimmers. You can get to the wall first. Because Elizabeth was the type of person where she's pretty small, she's pretty buoyant, that she could actually swim faster by taking less dolphin kicks to 15 meters than if she stayed under. And so Greg thought she should be under because most people are faster under, but Elizabeth said, no, I'm not. And then eventually when he let her do that, she got much faster.
I'm learning from the kids.
Yeah.
Ashley Kellis, you know Ashley Kellis? Ashley Kellis went 21-0 for a 50 freestyle with the super suit on. Still, I think the fastest Australian, isn't it? Pretty sure it is. And he never used to do any underwater.
Yeah.
He'd dive in, he did freestyle kick. Three kicks and come straight to the service.
Yeah.
Because they measured start after start after start. They compared underwater butterfly kick to doing freestyle kick, much faster doing freestyle kick for the reasons that you're saying. So you're right, some people are very good at the underwater skill. They can persist and go on, others don't need to do it.
So you could do your drill also in free, like that.
Which drill?
This drill you'd have to do.
Well, we haven't done it in free, but you could. Yeah. Let's give it a go. Hey, be careful. The second time you do it, we'll do what this young lady suggested and not push off the wall and do 6 kicks. So start maybe at the flag, or a little bit outside the flag. Okay, here we go.
Side of caution.
So, yeah, 6 kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breakout bang. 1, 2, 3. Take a breath and go under again. If you do it, oh, he could have gone under, but maybe not. He would have hit his head. So I think this drill, and you watch them transition from speed underwater into speed on the surface. One of the things I used to say about the starts, this is off topic, but what you want them doing on the starts from the blocks is driving off the blocks into the water. They're driving off, these are wrong numbers. That's the message, 100 kilometers an hour off the block. They're going to go through a medium, so what's going to happen? That's going to slow them down to 90. The objective of every swimmer is to break out at 90. To maintain the speed they're hitting out, they want to maintain that speed on the breakout. A lot of young swimmers and a lot of older swimmers will hit the 90 and they'll come up at 60. The people who come up at 90 will brain the people that come up at 60k an hour. So it's transferring that block speed into actual swimming speed. Try and go back a bit further, but don't push off the wall. You might be able to get 2 rounds in here. Watch your head, Tommy. Father's a doctor, will see me. Away you go. 6, 4, 1. Good breakout speed. Under, drive. Right, that's pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Give him a clap. Yeah, give him a clap.
Do it without fins. Do it without fins.
You can do it without fins. Show the gentleman without fins.
Sorry.
Keep doing the same. I'm going to do a 3-way coaching thing. This is good. Do it without fins. Now, hey, the objective is to maintain speed on the breakout. That's the critical thing here.
Don't bang your head.
Yes. Ready? Away you go. 6 kicks, full straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Breath. Under. Really hard to generate that speed. Obviously, you need strong core. Butterfly, you can't get away with it. You've got to have a great core. Abbie alluded to it before. I haven't had many people speak about it. I've always thought it, the importance of that second kick, because you've got to generate and maintain speed through the recovery with both of your arms out of the water. So if you haven't got a strong second kick, if you haven't got a strong core, it's very hard to keep that velocity continuing to move. We don't want the velocity doing this when we swim any stroke. We're trying to maintain velocity. You won't get it perfectly constant. You want it as constant as you can, hardly any dips and divots. We're between your top speed and your bottom speed. Same thing again. I'll get you to do a couple of drills, or I'll come back again. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's a spelt drill. Okay, very good. What do you think, Abby? Have you seen that before?
How was that without fins? I have not seen that one.
It's hard, eh? It's
It's
hard.
hard, yeah. That's a lot of not breathing. So one of the ones we do on top of the Beyondy drill is we do the pull down, but they breathe during the pull down, and then you have the option of recovering under the water, or you can take your hands to your side. We call it snow angels, and you actually do a flutter kick, and you get the, especially for the little ones that are not great with keeping their arms straight. It's really good for them to have the awareness of their hands just trailing on top of the surface to get it all the way back up to the top. So if you want to try this, it's basically your Beyondy drill, except for when you pull down, you're going to breathe. And then you pause for a second, start a flutter kick, and then bring your hands back up to the top. Yeah, just three up and then come back down. You might be kind of close to switching. So yeah, I've seen the Beyondy drill described in a lot of different ways. Like he was talking timing and pushing and getting your body to move, but I've also heard more of like timing of the first kick, so hitting the first kick and the pull at the same time, and then for swimmers to feel the reaction. 10 minutes? Okay. Yeah, that's about right. So then you do 4 kicks, you can give them the amount of kicks that you want up top before they pull down. Sometimes we say 4, sometimes we say 2, sometimes I see 6. Just depends, but it's a nice way to get the hands, and then you can control where the hands are, right? Like if you want someone like him, he's a little close and he's tight up top, you can stop that now and control where he is on his entry through that snow angel. That was good. Yeah, it's perfect. It's actually a lot easier with fins. You want to do another one with fins? So yeah, and then we do it also to like get the swimmers to understand that the end of the butterfly pole, as you're doing that push, is where you get a lot of the acceleration. So if you're looking at a velocity, just like the graph of it, the first kick's going to give you a blip up, but that second kick combined with a pull is going to give you a better peak. And so you see like 2 little mountains in fly if you're watching through the velocity curve happening, if they time it correctly. Otherwise, it's going to be 2 smaller mountains. So try it again. Yeah.
So if the swimmer has the capability of kicking, I mean, if he has got a good kick, right?
Yeah.
Would it be good if the first and the second kick is strong?
Yes. Ideally.
Ideally.
Most of them do the first kick. A lot of them forget the second kick. Because the
Okay.
first kick, your body is flatter. Like you're not breathing. You've descended down. Hopefully, you've gotten your hips back up. The second kick is harder because you're coming out,
Yep.
or you're not just breathing, but you're arcing up. So to get the knees to bend, it's a little bit more intentional. It's not always fluid. So yeah, we talk a lot about that inversion of good first kick, that was nice, but a bigger second kick.
Okay.
So for some of the younger ones, one of my favorite drills is something I call deconstructed butterfly. And so you take your hands at your side and you do 3 dolphin kicks here. And then they're gonna actually take their arms up to the top. So there's no kick that happens. They're gonna do basically the snow angel that you just did. And then they're gonna pull, kick, and breathe to drop their head back down to restart with their arms at one side. So we call it 3 kick and then 1 pull, kick, and breathe. So you're gonna be here, 1, 2, 3, arms up, kick, pull, breathe, down, and then you just restart from there. Down. So this is for like, I mean, I see this more with ages of like 8 to 10. It's kind of like the deconstructed fly. We also have disconnected fly, but it's putting the pieces of that whole stroke together and giving them a chance to be like, okay, I kick now, and then I pull, now I kick again, and then I go through the recovery. So you should have hands at his side for 3 kicks. 1, 2, 3, arms up, and then kick, pull, breathe. So it's kind of Beyondy-esque with a little bit of the recovery there too. Yeah. And once again, it's just kind of nice because it puts their hands down and they're getting used to kind of the finish of that pull, second kick happening. We had a good Olympian in 2008, Camille Adams. She was a 200 flyer. She breathed to the side and she also had one kick, so she was kind of the anomaly. And Kathleen Hersey was our second Olympian there as well, and they had two totally different strokes. So there was kind of a thought for a while that you didn't really need a second kick in fly, and now the initiative is completely opposite of that through the USA swimming stuff. You can actually do a normal recovery, yeah. That was pretty solid though. And then the last one, the disconnected fly, is more of a call-out drill. So if you have a loud voice or the ability to talk to your swimmers, you can do a whistle. You're gonna be up at the top, you're gonna take a kick, and so you would actually physically say, hey, kick now, and they kick, and then you say pull, they pull down, you say kick again, and then they recover. So just do that kind of flow, just kick, pull, kick, recover. Yep. So the one we just showed is a little bit more complicated. This one is definitely more basic, but it puts those components of the two kicks together in some time. I would do both of these with fins for the most part as well for the younger ones. So it should be a visible first kick. There, visible pull. Oh! So, two. Pull. Don't hit your head. I don't want to be responsible for that. Yeah, the last couple strokes is right. Yeah, good job. Oh, no worries. And then one of my favorite drills that I just learned from the American conference is a little bit of like the 4 kick 1 pull, 3 kick 1 pull, 2 kick 1 pull progression, but it's 4 kicks, 2 strokes, and then you have the kids keep their hands up top of their head, and it's either for counting to 5 or spelling out their last name. So it's helping them go from the up and down motion to flattening out for like the timing purposes of trying to get the head down before the hands enter. So working on a glide and fly, kind of like you do the glide and breaststroke. So once again, it will be 4 kicks. You're going to take 2 butterfly strokes. At the end of the second one, you're going to be up in like the bad streamline. And just, I don't know what your last name is. How long is it?
Long, very good.
Oh, that's quite long. Maybe count to like 5, yeah. And then do the same thing, 4 more kicks. No, they're full fly strokes, so you just pause and stop. Yeah, so this one's a fun one, especially for the younger ones, because then they're like, well, how long's your last name? Or how long's yours? And so you might have some longer gliders than others. But yeah, I mean, you predominantly see if you lose the second kick, you know, a swimmer's going to be swimming more at an angle. And so there's going to be so much more resistance. They're going to be fighting the water, not really getting their hips up. So this is a nice way to get some awareness of where the body is after they finish the stroke.
And then breathing or gliding, what do you want to do?
We want to keep the head down when they're breathing. You can do this one with a snorkel too. Keep the head totally out of it. That was really nice. Yes. And then I do love the 4 kick 1 pull, 3 kick 1 pull, 2 kick 1 pull progression, especially for the kids that already have incorrect timing. Because if you put a 2 kick 1 pull on someone like him, he's actually going to do 2 kicks and then a pull. But if you have one that's already doing 2 kicks and then a pull, you talk about the kick timing and go through 4, 3, 2, 1. A lot of times you'll see real fly or correct fly at the very end of that.
Can we talk a bit about Bob's score from the up kick and fly?
Bubble scores?
Well, you know how Bob was saying, or Bob, this is a lecture I heard on, Bob was talking about everyone's focused on the down kick and no one's doing the up kick, both the underwater and on the swimming side of it. Yeah, one of the drills that I really like to work on that is where you roll as you're under the surface of the water. And so you do an underwater dolphin kick, but like you did 6, so maybe we'll do 4, and just push off, do 4 on the side, then you go to your stomach and you do 4, then you do 4 on your other side, and then you just kind of go all around the world. Because you get the side motion of kicking in both directions.
Because what we found is like the second kick is more awkward because the body is still coming up whether you choose to breathe or not. So you have to bend the knees, and you want to get a pretty solid knee bend. You want to get close to 90 degrees so you have the ability to push down. But as you get tired, you see less and less knee bends happening, so you get smaller kicks. So try, we call it torpedo. Under the surface, 4 kicks on whatever side you start with, 4 kicks on your stomach, 4 kicks on the other side, and then 4 kicks on your back, not hitting your head.
When does he breathe?
This is an underwater drill.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's working on getting, he's got pretty nice kicks. There we go. Yeah, that was really good. That was really nice.
You do front and side like that?
We do side, front, side, back. Yeah. You're working on getting them to kick in the 2 directions.
When you do the underwater, right? Do you move your upper body much, or you try to stay still as much as possible?
We stay like a little bit. The upper body's gonna move less than the lower body. So the best way I can describe it is sometimes we talk about like cylinders or pipes, and your hands kind of hit back and forth inside of a PVC pipe.
Yep.
So you get a little bit of movement of the arms, but not a ton. It's more like your chest should pop up and down. Oh, good. Yeah, we're actually really fluid on your side. You have like a much bigger kick on your side than me. I'll leave that to him.
We're almost finished. But just maybe to finish up with some of the extra things that we do in training to try and develop core and leg strength. If you do